morning. Good morning. Good morning. How are you on this beautiful Friday morning, 1st of May, Workers' Day here in South Africa? I'm not sure if it is worth celebrating at the moment. For those that are still lucky to be able to work, fantastic, but there's lots of people who are not in that fortunate position. So yeah, it's really like, I think, sort of two sides to that. And I'm not sure, how people are feeling at the moment. I'm just hearing more and more stories of people losing their jobs and people really, where things are starting to hit home. So yeah, not fun. And makes me very, very grateful that I'm able to be here, spend time with you, just showing up every day, having something to do. I think from that point, and I don't want to sort of get off on a emotional note there, but really something that, if we are able to work, if we're able to do things, then we should be very, very grateful for that. And then obviously today is now we've now gone to level 4 in terms of the lockdown, and we'll see how this goes. I can hear people running in the street. There's a few people who let me know that they can't be here this morning. They have to go and cycle and they have to go and run, and that's fantastic. I really appreciate. I mean, people just letting me know, listen, I'm going to watch the recording. If I'm not there, just know, So thank you very much for doing that. You didn't have to do that. I deeply appreciate it, and I think it goes a long way to show the kind of community that we started to build here. So thank you very much for being part of it. If you're watching the recording, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. Today, we talk about value propositions. It's something that's been on the list for a very long time, something that I've put off talking about. And but yeah, finally, it's there. We can talk about that today. So really, a lot of things that I want to talk about regarding value propositions. I'm going to share some tools with you that I've been using for the last 2 years, and still getting to sort of really understand it and how everything works together. It's not that I've mastered them, but I do want to share them with you because there's a lot of information out there. And just so that you know what's available and how you can go about it. So we're going to talk about, what a value proposition really is. Why is it important? Do you even have one? And then sort of some tools that you can use in the process that you can go through to create, or it's, often you do have a value proposition. You just need to refine it. You just need to tweak it. So you'll also be able to do that after today. So yeah, thank you very much. Over on LinkedIn this morning, good morning Shlanganani, Kadziandi, good morning Higu, Johan Foster, welcome terug, Louis Jooste, nice to see you here again, and Sureta, good morning. I hope you're doing well. And those are the people that said hi over on LinkedIn. And then let me just, I can't move this up there because I'm sharing my screen. Over on YouTube, quite a number of people who said hi this morning. Good morning, Terence. Thank you for being back. I hope you're okay and that you're doing well. I'll check in with you later. Then Denise, good morning, Denise. Thank you very much for being here on this Friday morning. Casper, welcome back again. Kobus Klein, 43 out of 43. Kobus, you're on a winning streak, yes, sir. Thank you very much. Raymond, welcome back. Thank you for the WhatsApp. I appreciate it. Raymond said that he's really looking forward to today. I said morning to everyone. Shlanganani over here says this is a great topic. He's busy with his client value proposition as well. And Malcolm Hendricks, good morning, Malcolm. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Rizan, goeiemorgen. Nice to have you here. Thank you very much. Yes, Malcolm, 333. Slowly but surely, we're moving forward. Some days faster than others, but we are moving. That's the most important thing. We're not standing still. So to everybody that has subscribed, thank you very much. We can't do this without you. So really appreciate it. Almin, good morning. Almin, nice om jou weer hier so te hê. Tinus Brits, welkom terug, Tinus. Hoop het gaan goed daar by jou. Stephen Nell, good morning. Welcome back, Stephen. Then Khomotso, again, good morning, guys. All the regulars in the house. Louis, very nice to have you here. Thank you very much. Francis, goeiemorgen. Welcome back. And then Mariette, nice to have you here, Mariette. Thank you very much. It's been a while. I hope you're still having some, Mariette was very fortunate that she made a plan before lockdown started. And she really found herself in a fantastic environment, but envious. So yeah, very nice to have you here, Mariette. Thank you very much. Alrighty, so let's see. There's so much that we need to talk about. A few things that I want to announce as well. Again, this morning, there's always some announcement of some kind. I a while back, I created a program for one of the corporates that was about, like, specifically when we started working virtually, and, you know, to sort of help people create a great client experience. And we've spoken about client experience so much on the show, where, you know, it's so essential. And now suddenly things have changed. You know, when you have someone in your office and you can sit in front of them and you can talk to them and they can see you and all of that stuff, it's easy to deliver a great client experience, although it does take a lot of effort. But now that we've gone virtually, you know, how do you do that? How do you translate it? How do you sort of make sure that whatever you're doing virtually or digitally or online, that it is still delivering a fantastic client experience? Because if it is going to be hard for them, it's going to be uncomfortable for them, then, you know, it's not, they may not keep to their appointments, and they may not want to even set an appointment, for example. So what I did was I created an hour-long program, which is called How to Deliver a Great Online Client or Customer Experience. It's just an hour long. It's 60 minutes, but it is jam-packed with, like, practical stuff that you can do and implement and things that you need to note. So we talk about how to host a successful virtual meeting. I talk about the secrets to successful client or online client engagement. Then I talk about setting appointments and how to deal with clients canceling appointments. How do you deal with that? Because when we are under pressure, the way that we react to those kind of things are really, like, you know, sometimes we just can't help ourselves, and you know, we get frustrated, and then it shines through in the way that we respond to clients. So I take you through a process and things that you can do, and how to handle those, and how to save those appointments and make sure that you can see those clients, or most of them anyway. And then we get into the process of what you do before, during, and after the meeting. I talk about a lot of, you know, the kind of things that you need to use, your environment that you're in. So there's so much that I packed into that 60 minutes. It's not wasting a minute of time talking about nonsense. So yeah, you can go check that out. It is live now on Circulus Online. So if you go to learn.circulus.co.za and under webinars, I've put it there. This is not approved for CPD, by the way. I will decide if I will have it approved for that or not. For me, this is a special webinar. It is not aimed at CPD. I've already given all the Ignite members access to this, and the people that have purchased the webinar bundles, I've given them access to this program already. But it is available on learn.circulus.co.za, so you can go check it out there. It's just an hour long, boom, but it's the most value you're going to get in an hour. I can promise you that. So please go and check that out if you want to really take things to the next level. All right. Then obviously things are really going well in terms of the registrations for the Business Assurance Refresher. Thank you very much for that. I really want to encourage you to look at that. Remember that we are giving discount to Profile Me clients. So if you're a Profile Me client and you're not an Ignite member, you will pay 315 Rand. And then if you are an Ignite member, you only pay 300 Rand. Everybody else will pay 350 for that. It's 3 hours. And we're going to focus on the most important things in terms of business assurance to make sure that you're up to date. And even if you're not working in that space at the moment, it's really a big opportunity, you know, to get involved into that. And often when we have these courses, people are saying, like, you know, like 5 of the people in the room are like, I work in this space, and the other 95% of them say, I'm really interested in getting to work there. So it's really, you got to start somewhere. And this program will actually, we start with everything that you need to know, and then we build on that. So we look at everything in terms of business assurance in 3 hours. So yeah, please join us. You can go to francois.co.za / let me just take that away, sorry, / online refresher, and you can then book there. There is still some spots left for that. Alrighty, cool stuff. So this morning, I'm really excited to get into this whole discussion around value propositions. It is an important one, but before we start, I really hope that you've got your coffee and a pen and a notepad and all of that good stuff, so that I can share some valuable information with you. And yeah, so let's start off. Let me just go there. So a lot of moving parts this morning. So I want to get into it. I don't want to waste a lot of time this morning. I think by now, because we're all regulars in the house, you know, please subscribe, please give us love, please interact, please talk to one another, please share, you know, your thoughts and that, and maybe things that you are struggling with. And if you don't want to mention it here in the chat, you're welcome to WhatsApp me as well. I'll look at it afterwards and get back to you. But yeah, so when we talk about a value proposition, I guess the first question is, but really, what is it? I remember when I was still at one of the big companies, the first time I heard about a value proposition, it sounded like fantastic. It sounded like something like, wow, something that we never had before. This is really, really awesome. And then when I got sight of the value proposition, I thought like, but this is what we do. Like, there's nothing special about this. This is just what we do. And that's often sort of the thing about, like, I think we think that a value proposition is this weird and wonderful thing, but what it really is, it's a description of what it is that we do. It is a sort of a way to explain to customers what we do for them and how we help them. What are the problems that we solve, and then what are the benefits and the outcomes and things the results that we create for them. So those are really the important things when it comes to a value proposition. It's more for me a case of how do we communicate what our value is, because that's often the thing. And we had this discussion in our mastermind yesterday, which was quite an interesting discussion to hear where everybody is at the moment, because we were going to meet once a week, and then everybody got busy, and we decided that let's keep it to once a month. But it's sort of here where everybody is. And, one of the specific discussions that we had was that, there's something that one of the people in the group are doing, but it is not something that their target clients would actually know the language of and understand and that kind of thing, although it's something that they need. So if there's a disconnect between what people need and what they want and all that kind of stuff, and the language that we use to explain to them, but that is what we do, they're not going to even notice you. They're not even going to understand what it is that you're doing, or they're not going to say like, wow, that is what I want. That is what I need. So that is what a value proposition really is in my mind. And then obviously it also needs to go on and say, but why you? Why am I the best person to help you achieve these things or to create these outcomes? Why are we the best people to solve your problem and so forth? And that is a very important part of a value proposition. So for me, again, if I can summarize this in another way, is that a value proposition is really something that you reduce down to writing or in some form of communication. So it could be writing, and you could communicate it via a series of images. You could have a video, you could have an audio kind of thing that explains your value to people. You can obviously have it on your website. You can post it on social media. You can, do a PR marketing campaign, making sure that people understand what your value is. But it is a form of communication, and it's a way of linking certain things to each other so that the client will go, that is for me, and that is what I want. And wow, these are the best people to help me do that. So that is, in short, in my own words, what a value proposition is. So it is not this weird and wonderful. You don't need a PhD to figure this out. You don't need anything like that. It is just understanding your clients, their needs, what they're trying to do, and then understanding how your products and services actually do that. So I'm going to go through quite a number of things this morning to show you that. And with that, I want to sort of get to the next point, which is, why is it important to have a value proposition? Because obviously, so we know what a value proposition is, but why is it important? And I want to sort of get into this whole thing. And I've spoken about this before, but I've never shown you sort of graphically or as a picture really, what this entails. So if you look at this, a business consists of different sort of parts and different things that we need to do and that we need to focus on in order to have a business in the first place, and also to make this business sustainable. So the very first thing that you need is to create value. And that's, again, already part of the value proposition, where we explain who we help, how we help them, what are the problems that we solve, what are the results that we generate. So there needs to be a promise of value that can and will be created. So that is the first place. Without creating value, and I'm going to show you my business structure model thing again in about 2 slides or so, to show you that even there, value features prominently. So without that, you don't have a business. That is the starting point. If you cannot create value, you do not have a business. No, never mind, cannot. You don't have a business. Then next is that once we have that value, we need to tell people. So this is the marketing bit. But if people don't know about us, they don't know what we do, how we help, what makes us awesome, why are we the right people to help them? And you can see already the link between the value creation and marketing. It's all coming from the value proposition, because telling people is not selling to people. Okay, making people aware of what you do, and that is educating, it is informing, it's creating awareness. Those kind of things are what's happening when we are telling people about this. The next part, once people now know about us and they're aware about us, we need to get them to take action, right? So we need to go get some clients. We need to get some of them say, yes, we want to do business with you. So we got to start selling. It doesn't matter. And we spoke about this, what was it, yesterday? In one of the books that I spoke about. There was quite a number of books that I shared yesterday, my top 7 book recommendations around selling, because I believe that, we don't have the right relationship with selling. We've put this on this thing that this is wrong. It's a sin. You shouldn't use the word financial planning and selling in the same sentence. And I completely disagree with that. I was there previously in my life. I said, no, I'm not this, I'm that. And it's not true, because we are selling something. So, we need to be selling. And in this case, we need to be selling our value proposition. We need to be selling what it is we do and how we do it. And if you sell, it means you get clients to say yes. You get clients to do business with you. Without that, you can tell them all the stories in the world, and you can have the most beautiful marketing material and the most awesome dynamic website and, apps, and you can have all sorts of stuff. Unless we close them and get them to take action, nothing is going to happen. So that is the third piece to a business. And it doesn't matter what kind of business you are in. This is important. And then we need to deliver on our promises. So now that we've created the value, we've told people about it, we made them aware, we got some people to say yes to do business with us. Now we need to deliver on those promises, and we need to deliver the value. And that is exactly what we do in this fourth part. So when we do this, then we sort of close the loop and we start earning income, we start earning revenue. And then when we get that money, there is a huge responsibility on us to manage that money correctly. And on next week, Tuesday, I'm very excited to have Johan Vosloo and Martha Kukamura on the show. They are from ComSpace, and we're going to be talking about managing finances. So we're not going to do a demo of ComSpace and those kind of things. We're going to be talking about principles about financial management, the trends and the data and things that they see, why it is important to do this, even if whether you're small or big, whether you're one advisor or 100 advisors in the business, we're going to talk about this because it's so important. But it doesn't matter what business you are in, you need to manage your finances. If you ever watch Shark Tank or even Dragon's Den, I guess, I'm more of a Shark Tank fan. But one of the things that they hammer on this is that you need to know your numbers. So if you don't know your numbers, you don't make good decisions. You spend money that you think you have that you maybe don't have. So managing finances is the foundation for this, and everything is built on this. Now, this is not my model. I don't know. I saw this in a workshop that I attended last year. So I have no idea who came up with this, because even the person that did the workshop was referring to this. It was a bit of a different layout. But this was the inspiration for me doing it in this way. So just to say that this is not my model. I don't know whose model this is, and I must maybe do a bit more research to figure out whose it is. But nevertheless, this just made so much sense for me. And if I remember something once I heard it once, then it really like that. That's good. Because there's lots of stuff that I don't remember after the 10th time. But that is if you want to have a business. So you can clearly see that value features twice in this whole picture, and also value is what underpins your marketing. It underpins your selling, everything. And without that, you can't have finances. So the value proposition is really, really crucial, and you're able to really explain this to clients well. All right. So I just want to run through this. I think we chatted about this in episode 12. In episode 12, we were talking about what if we needed to change direction. And I looked at a few sort of options and things that one could do. And we were talking about from the book, The E-Myth, from Michael E. Gerber, where he was identifying the different kinds of roles that one could play, where there's the technician, the manager, and the entrepreneur. And as part of that, there's this whole entrepreneurial journey or process that entrepreneurs go through. So I thought about this when I was preparing for this, and then linking back to the previous slide where I spoke about, the business sort of model, if you will, or sort of what a business consists of, or what you need in order to have a business. I thought, where does it fit into this whole process? Because if you are working for yourself, or even if you just see yourself as working for yourself, you are an entrepreneur, because every morning you get up, maybe you're not employed, you need to go look for clients, we need to look for new opportunities, we need to do things. or just go through our process and our system every single day. So I thought, let me run through this again. So in this case, there is an opportunity. That's usually what an entrepreneur does, is they identify some form of an opportunity. And the day before yesterday, in episode 41, I had Roelof Horn here, where we spoke about risks and opportunities in the current environment from an investment point of view. So that's also a good one to go check out if you missed that. But yeah, so opportunity. So what happens then next? Sorry, let me just get there. So then what happens next is that once they've identified this opportunity, they go back to the drawing board, because there's a few things that they now need to go and figure out. And they, identifying an opportunity and understanding and knowing an opportunity is vastly different. They are not the same thing. They require quite different sets of insights. So they go back to the drawing board, and then what they do is they make sure that they have a clear understanding of the client needs. And you're going to see that the tool I'm going to share with you does exactly this. It's amazing how all these things fit together. And I even want to bring in strengths here later on. So I'll tell you about what Johan Oosthuizen did for me in terms of this. Well, not just for me, he does it for a lot of people, but I'll share that with you as well. But the entrepreneur needs a clear picture of the client and their needs. And we've spoken about this so many times. If you don't know and understand your client, and yesterday I said, like, there's this new word, my dream client. I think that is so much more powerful than my ideal client. So if you don't know your dream client, what they want and their needs and how you can help them, it's a problem. But you need to start there before you can even figure out, how do I help them? Because often we start with, what can I do? And then you go look for work. And that's what the technician does. Is I've got certain skills and experience and expertise. And then where can I find somebody who needs this? Versus going looking for someone with problems and seeing how you can use your skills and things to sort that out. So it's very, very powerful. Then they go and craft a solution. And when they craft a solution, they come up with either a product or a service or something that they do in order to solve these needs or to meet these needs for clients. And then they build a process to sort of automate this in a way, or a system that can make sure that they can deliver consistently. So if I say automate, it means that people can be doing the job. It's just that the entrepreneur themselves doesn't necessarily do the job that needs to be done. They have systems, processes, teams, and those kind of things in place. And then this whole process starts again. So then it goes back, and there's the next opportunity. And also something that we spoke about yesterday in terms of the books, when I spoke about the one thing, that it can be the same opportunity in your existing client base, but it's just the next thing that you need to solve in order that you can add more value to your client base. It's not necessarily you go start a new business. For some entrepreneurs, you'll see they very proudly, I'm a serial entrepreneur. It's not about being that. It could just be that if I understand this need and this problem for this segment in my client base, and I can focus on that, then I can look for another problem, and you can go and you can just build your business around that. So your value proposition, if you really look at this entire process for an entrepreneur or financial advisor, accountant, tax practitioner, doesn't matter what you do, it's really this part here that is talking about crafting a solution. That is your value proposition. If you go back to what I just said about how I would define a value proposition, is to say, well, it is something that explains what you do, who you do it for, the problems you solve, and why you're the best person to do that. Well, that really talks to the crafting the solution part in that sense. And then if I look at my sort of business structure that I discussed with you in episode 12, so I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but you can see there right at the top, you need to create an experience, and you do that through your value proposition. So those things you need, that is the last sort of building block in your business. There's a lot of other things that you need there, to sort of make this work. But ultimately, without a value proposition, you still don't have a business. You can have all the other things there, okay, or some of it or whatever. But without the value proposition and without a strong brand and creating a good client experience, you're going to find it very hard. It's not that you won't grow. It's not that you won't have a business, but it's going to take longer. And somebody said to me once, yes, and this is just something popping in my head at the moment, is, I attended some sessions in 2014, and this woman asked me, how long is it going to take to change your circumstances? And I said to her, I don't know. It's going to take however long I said it's going to take. And she asked me a very powerful question. She said, does it necessarily have to take that long? Is that how it is? Or is it just like, and the funny thing is, often when you look at tasks, you give yourself 3 hours to do something. It'll take you 3 hours. you give yourself an hour, you'll probably do it in an hour. It is just that, you fit yourself into the amount of time that you give yourself. So by having these things in place, you can really speed up your growth, and you can really speed up your progress. But this is just one of the building blocks. So obviously there's a whole host of things that we need to consider in terms of that. All right, cool beans. So before we move on, let me hop on over here and see Shahida. Good morning, Shahida. Shahida is saying it's a great topic. Good morning. Nice to have you here. Arun, welcome back. And then Louis says, no better way to understand your income stream than ComSpace. Yes, Louis, I must agree. And also, there's so much value in understanding that. I think too often people think I'm a tied advisor for this company. There's no value in it. But trust me, there's a lot of value. So we're going to talk about all of that in there. On LinkedIn, let me see quickly. I haven't said hello to everyone yet. Good morning, Godfrey. Nice to see you. Chart, good morning. Mark Lang, welcome for wet Melbourne. Wow. Yeah, it's cold here in South Africa, in Joburg, but it hasn't rained now, but in the week we did have rain. So it's funny how we're getting rain during a time that we shouldn't be. Frans Hatten, good morning, Frans. Goedemorgen. Johan Marais, good morning. Let me see. Everybody's saying hi to one another. And belated good morning. Good morning, Peter Strydom and Peter Lopez. Good morning. We've got a lot of Peters in the house. Peter Strydom says, in addition to having a compelling and quantifiable value proposition, you also need to have differentiators. What makes you different to other advisors, and what do you do that the client will only receive from you in the relationship? And that is absolutely important. And that was part of what I said, sort of the value proposition. If I look at that, it must explain why you. Why not someone else? Why are you the perfect person? And that. So I'm not going to go down too far in this rabbit hole. I'm going to still be like sort of the concept around this and sort of the things that you can do and use for this, so that I don't lose people, because this is really an interesting thing. But it is one of those things where you need to go and sit down and do things to really see how things work. Because I've learned this tool, and I've sort of until I started using it, and I've even used it with a couple of advisors as well. Some of them see the value, some of them don't. It's just, depends on personality as well. If you're a driver kind of person, you just want to get to the bottom line, the tool may frustrate you. Then maybe somebody else must put together your value proposition, just tell you what you'll be doing. But for others, it's quite a great experience. And also it's something that you can really involve your team in. If you've got an assistant or 3 or 4 or 5 of them, or you've got a whole team of advisors, or you've maybe got a few directors in the business, then it's really a good way to start having this discussion. And it's really a fun way as well that you could do it. I'm not going to be able to demonstrate exactly how you can do it, but there's loads of videos and things out there that you could do to do that. Alrighty, so let me just check. I don't see any other questions. I guess the question then becomes, there's too many moving parts today. Do I even have a value proposition? And I think I've already answered this. I think if you've ever earned R1 of income, if you've ever earned 1 cent of income, whether it was commission or somebody paid you or whatever, then yes, you have a value proposition, because somebody saw your value and they were willing to exchange money for it. Doesn't matter how much or how little they were willing to pay for that, but it means that you have a value proposition. And a lot of us have a default value proposition. And the problem is that sometimes it's not your value proposition. You come into this business and you start just using somebody else's value proposition, just the way we've always done things, that kind of thing. The company that you work for, this is the way we do it. So that's great, because then at least that's why you joined them. You didn't have to worry about creating. They just teach you how they do things and what they do, and that's perfectly fine. But even within the business that you work in, you can really, why do you think some advisors in some businesses do better than others? It's just, I believe that they've got a better value proposition. Yes, some of them work harder. Some of them are just more relentless and persevere more. And they're really focused on the actions that will earn them income, versus other people being just busy and, doing all sorts of stuff except the things that would be getting clients in front of them. So there's a lot of moving parts here, but also it's because some of them have really differentiated themselves, what they do, the way that they communicate what they do. That is why certain advisors are attracting a certain kind of client, because I think they are better at demonstrating and explaining and communicating their value and who they do it for. And obviously they have confidence and they have the skills and the knowledge and things to back it up. But this is all important stuff that we need to consider. All right. So my question here is, do you have your own value proposition, or have you built it on, still, I mean, often people would have started with a company, for example, and they were taught how to do things. Then you go independent on your own, or you join an independent business and you keep on doing the things that you were taught when you started. Things have moved on. There's different ways of doing things. There's things that you can do that no one else can do. Just by whenever you open your mouth, you are completely different to anybody else, because you are you. And obviously we've spoken about this. I'm not going to go into that again. So what are some of the tools that you can use to help you to create a value proposition? I just want to sort of at this point say that this isn't all about creating a value proposition. It can also be about tweaking your value proposition and just changing it a little bit and adapting it a little bit. Some people will go like, oh no, screw it, let's just get this thing off the table and start from scratch. That's also fine. No problem with that. But don't think that your value proposition is something that you need to go do from scratch, because you already have one. If you have clients, you're doing business, you have a value proposition. What you need to do is to dump all of that onto a piece of paper so that you're able to see what you are doing. And then you can start sort of looking at that. And I'll take you through the steps and the tool that you can use. But for now, there's a number of ways that you can go about if you want to do this. Really, and the tool that I'm going to show you it's a structured process. It's a framework. It has a lot of things that are sort of guiding you through the process. There's a lot of tools that you can use with that, and I won't get into all of that. We don't have enough time for that, but I do want to make you aware of this, because I think it's extremely valuable to know about this. And so that's what I want to do. But I mean, some of the things that people are using to sort of, let's say, then visualize their value proposition is mind maps, obviously. So having mind maps, and what they do usually is just to say, like, what do we do? And they have all the different areas that they do, and then how they do it, and that kind of thing. So it's not necessarily very specific. If you want to do a value proposition in a better way, it would be to sort of understand your clients. And we're going to start with customer profile in a second. But you need to really understand, if you go back to what I just said about the entrepreneur, they get to know the client and their needs extremely, extremely well. In fact, they go back to the drawing board to be able to do that. So unless they have a deep understanding of these people, they don't even craft a solution. So that's actually where you need to start, is to say, well, what does your client base look like? Is there very distinct segments or very distinct groups of people, or however you want to define that? But there are people with a very specific need, or that's in a very specific place in their life. But you really, really understand your clients. And you can take that so far to get to know them. But that is really the starting point. So what you want to have is a value proposition per client segment, really. It's not, you can have an overall value proposition, but if you're really clever about this, you'll have a value proposition for each and every sort of segment that you've got in your business. And again, with segments, I'm not necessarily like saying who's your ABC clients. I'm saying groups of clients, people that have the same kind of needs, that will move over time in the same direction. They will have the same challenges. They will have the same kind of problems and things that they face. And how can you solve that for them? So those are more the kind of things when I talk about segments, is to really understand that. It's not necessarily about who's your top client and your bottom client and those kind of things, although that is also important. But within each client segment, you can basically have that. So I think for too long, we have mixed up what client segmentation really means. And we thought it's like, oh, who do I earn the most money from? Who's got the biggest amount of money with me? And versus the ones that just costing me time and money, and I don't get anything for it. And there's no potential. I don't even think I'm going to get anything. That is important, because you need to understand where the money is coming from. But that's not going to help you solve problems. That's not going to help you have a value proposition that is honed in on a specific type of client. So there you need to understand your client base. And also, when we go back to sort of your marketing and getting awareness and everything out there, how do you communicate this? If you're not talking to that person directly, you're not going to attract the right people. So very, very important that we are able to know our clients, and that we then talk to them, our existing and the ones that we want to attract. So extremely, 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 extremely important. All right. Then some other tools, obviously. You can just have a blank piece of paper and just start writing things out. There may be other tools and things out there. The one that I want to share with you today is called the Value Proposition Canvas. It is by strategizer.com. It's really an awesome tool. I started using it 2 years ago. And as I said, I've used it with a couple of advisors. I've used it in my own business where we created a new product. And I'll tell you why this is so important. There was a study, and I can't remember now by who it was, but even if you go watch the value proposition canvas video on YouTube it's the strategizer one that I did 2 years ago, they will say exactly who it is. But what it basically found is that business owners are creating products, okay, and the whole idea behind creating products and services is to have an impact and to help and to make things better. I mean, that is why we do what we do, and then obviously earn money in the process. But what they found is that 7 out of 10 products fail. 7 out of 10 products fail. And the simple reason for that is that there is no clear connection between your products and services and what the client's challenges are and what they need and the things that they're trying to get done. And that is exactly what the value proposition canvas is. And what it's going to focus on is going to help you connect these things to one another. And then at the end, I'm going to show you where everything fits into the bigger business as well, because that is also an important thing to get into. All right, let me just quickly, before I get into that, good morning, Jacques Retief. Jackie, welcome. That's so nice. And then, okay, and Shahida and Jacques and everything, everybody's saying hi to one another. So that is awesome. Okay, great stuff. So let's start off with the customer profile. So this is an important part. I'm going to introduce you step by step to the value proposition canvas. So I'm not going to show everything at once to you. I'm going to build up to that. But really what it is like where you need to start with is to start with the customer profile. And well, we've spoken about ideal client, your target client, your dream client, that kind of thing. But here we're more looking at a specific client or a specific client segment that you are looking at. So, and what is their profile? So there's a lot of ways to sort of talk about this. I know people refer to customer personas. I mean, you can literally create a person around this profile and to say, you know, that is John and this is John's story and blah, blah, blah. And everybody else that sort of feels like, oh, I'm just like John would then fall within that segment. And the first thing that we need to look at is sort of the first part of the value proposition canvas is to sort of look at this customer profile, and it's really made up of 3 parts, which is the jobs, the pains, and the gains. So I want to talk a little bit about that, and this is sort of what it looks like. And we start off here with the customer jobs because you know, there are certain things that your clients are trying to get done. And there's quite a few things that we can consider in that, because it could be something that they're really just trying to do. Okay, so let's say they just want to go from one place to another. That can be a job that they're trying to get done. So it's not nothing funny. It can be a social thing. So they want to seem important, or they want to sort of get appreciation, or they want to be sort of, you know, known or seen or something like that. And then also it could be something that is emotional that they're trying to get done, like, I don't know, get peace of mind, that kind of stuff. So there's a whole host of things that one could consider. So it could be just a task that they're trying to get done. You know, it could be something simple as, I need to get my kids from school whenever the kids may one day go back to school. You know, it can be about solving problems and that, you know, how do you impress other people, those kind of thing, or just, you know, just trying to satisfy a specific need that they've got, you know. So there's a whole host of things around jobs that we can speak about in this. But in this whole process of trying to do certain jobs or to get it done and to complete these jobs, then there are obviously pains that are involved, because there are things that's really, you know, going to annoy them in the process. It's going to be hard to do certain things, you know. There's things that's going to be in their way. There's going to be obstacles. There's going to be challenges. So the whole thing about a pain is that it has a negative outcome, or it has the possibility of having a negative outcome. So in other words, it's things that will keep you from getting the job done that you're really trying to get done. And those are the kind of pains and things that we need to identify. So if you now think about, this is a specific client and this is a very specific person or a segment that you want to talk to, and you understand what jobs they're trying to get done, we can start to understand, but what are the pains that they face, the things that will keep them from achieving these jobs. And, you know, sort of on the other hand is like how we can sit and debate this and try and figure this out and just speculate around what those are. Sometimes we know because maybe we're also one of those clients. But ultimately, we will have to talk to clients and find out, what are the things that's really keeping you from achieving these things that you want to achieve. And then the third part to this is gains, is how do you, what will the client gain if the job gets done? So what is it that they get in addition? What are the benefits that they get, from this? How do they measure success? What does it mean if they say, well, the job got done, and how well did it get done? How will they measure it? So those are the kind of gains that we are talking about. And it's all really positive outcomes. So whereas pains gives you a negative outcome, gains will give you a positive outcome. And that is sort of, if I look at that, what are the results and the benefits or even aspirations of the client that they're trying to achieve, and how does it link to the jobs that they're trying to do? And that is really from a customer profile point of view, because now if you go back to that whole entrepreneur thing, it's now like I know my client, I understand their needs deeply, and now I'm in a position to go and craft a solution. Okay, so obviously now then there is a second part to this that we can talk about, and the second part to the value proposition canvas is what is called, or what is referred to as, the value map. So, once we know and understand our clients and what they're all about, and sort of the things that's keeping them from achieving the things that they want to achieve, and what things would make it great for them and get them there, then I can look at the value map. And my way of saying is, this is your offering. And there's a few things that we need to understand about this offering. So this is the second part of the value proposition canvas, and I'll show you an entire picture of the whole thing and how everything fits together in a second. But here we're talking about your products and your services that you offer. We also talk now about pain relievers and gain creators. So possibly there you can already see how these things are linking together. If I know what the pain is, I can show how my product or service are relieving this pain. If there's gains that they're looking for, how does my product or my services achieve those gains, or help the client achieve those gains, or how does it generate those gains for the client? And this is basically what it looks like. So on the first hand, on the left-hand side there, you will list all your products and services. And this can be, so what I've done in the past is to focus on a very specific client, okay, and then on a very specific product, because it's very, very specific. I've already created the product, or I've got a product in mind, because often these things can also inform me about how to create the product. So, but I've got this one product aimed at this one specific type of client. And now I can sort of start working from there. If I now understand what they're trying to achieve, what are their pains, what is the things that they will see as gains, and that will help them achieve and create just a positive outcome for them. Now I can look at, if this product of mine, which features of this product, or which of the benefits from this product, or which of the things that we're doing here will now be relieving the pain. Because the whole idea here is that we are trying to reduce the pain, we want to minimize the pain, or even eliminate the pain for a specific client. So that's what we're trying to do through our products, and that's really what you're doing through giving financial advice. It is just that we're not really, I think, communicating clearly which pains we are addressing and which parts of your service are addressing which pains, because they're not all the same. And it's not, I'll get to that in a second. But, and then on the other hand, obviously we have gain creators. So again, if you look at your products and services, how does that create a gain for the client? So very important that you are able to link these to one another. All right. So on the gain side, what we're trying to do is to either produce a gain, or we want to increase gains, or we want to maximize, the outcomes and benefits for the client. And that's what we do with the gain creators. And now what we're doing is, by putting this together, you're able to show the client exactly what it is you do for them. So you can say, listen, these are the things that we sort out. And they can say, yes, those are problems I have. How do we do it? And the client can make the link. And then obviously through this, you can explain, you can demonstrate why you are the best person or the best business to help them sort this out. All right, but then obviously the question becomes, okay, Francois, so that's great. Love all the pictures. It's great. But where does this all fit in? Well, it's important. It's a very important question to sort of look at. And this is a picture of the entire canvas for the value proposition canvas. And here you can see how these things work together. So I'll literally link. If you download this from Strategizer's website, you'll get a PDF with this. You can print it. What I've done, I've printed this on an A1 or A0 or something huge, and I had it laminated so we can use it over and over and over again. And what you really do is to start, you can go and write in here if you will, and you can print it as small as an A4. You can just write things in each one of these blocks, and then you just do that. But what makes it a lot more fun is if you actually have a big version of this that you stick up against the wall, and you start putting Post-it notes on there. So you have a Post-it note, you have a black Cokie, and you're just starting writing down one thing. And what's nice about this, what I loved about this, is that it was sort of a brain dump. So I was able to just write things down and just stick them where I think they needed to go. So I would start with customer jobs. What is this particular customer trying to do? Okay, and we just like write things down. It was great because there were 3 or 4 people that has done this before as part of that. And everybody's just giving in their input. What are they trying to get done? What are they trying to get done? And then we stick all of that on there. And then we moved on to the pains, but what is keeping them from getting that job done? What are their challenges? What are the things that's in their way? What are the things that really hurts to get them there? And we would stick all of that on there. Every single thought and idea on a separate Post-it note. And I also use different colors. So for the customer jobs, we would, let's say, use green and yellow for the pains, or even pink or red for the pains, and then something else for the gains, etc. So when you stand back, and this is the one thing that I learned from this, and I started using my flip chart a lot more also after this, is that, excuse me, is that it's nice to just stand back and have this clear view about, what's going on. It's like you're getting the big picture. When you're writing here in a book and you're on an A4 page, it's very hard to really see the big picture, but when you really have it big there and you stand back and you start seeing colors working together, you start just seeing, oh, okay, but, there's too many things there. There's too little things there. Let's have a look at it, for example. But that is really how it works. And then the same, obviously, on the value map side, where we do exactly the same things. So you maybe have one product or one service, or you could have multiple products or services that they need to use in combination in order to reduce or eliminate or minimize the pains, and then that they can use to either increase, maximize, or create gains. So you do exactly the same thing. And once you've done that, now you can really get into it and say, okay, but some of these, because what we found from using this is that often some of those pains are actually, you could put them in the same group. It's actually the same thing. It's just a different way of saying it. So we would then go, okay, but isn't there like another word that we can use for these 2 or 3 things? Because that's again nice with the Post-it notes. You would start sticking 3 things together and 2 things together and 4 things. And you see, there isn't 10 pains, for example. There is 3 main ones. But what would describe that? So we can get to like, what is the issue there? And then we would do that. And that's how we started reducing the amount of pains that you've got. And here's the thing. Okay. So when you look at this, you can have multiple customers. Okay. But you can choose to focus on specific customers. You can have multiple gains and you can have multiple pains, but you don't have to solve all of them. From your products and services, what you need to do is to really create a link. Okay, you need to create a link between the pain reliever and the specific pain that you are going to address and the specific pain that you solve. You don't have to solve all of them. You can just be very clear, and hopefully you'll focus on the pains that are most valuable if that gets sorted, because that would make sense. But you want to link very specifically, this product does this and this is how it relieves that pain. You need to make that link. And there can be multiple pains that you are solving. There could be one pain that you're solving. It doesn't matter. The same with your gain creators. You've got to link those gain creators to very specific gains that clients are looking for. If you know that they're going to measure the outcome and the success in a very particular way, then you need to be able to link those to one another. All right, so this is sort of how this whole thing works together. You'll see there in the middle, it's got these 2 arrows because it's a bi-directional relationship that's happening between your customer profile and your value map. The one informs the other. All right. And this is sort of because we don't do this, and we've created brilliant products in my mind that has failed dismally. Okay. And there's a few reasons for it, but I think one of the big reasons is that it's particularly there's one in particular that I know exactly, like I know what they told me what they wanted, and I still gave them something else because that's what I wanted. And still I'm still not willing to do the things that people were asking me for because it doesn't interest me. It doesn't excite me. So I'm not the business to offer that. It's a great opportunity. I've told lots of people about it, but that is the one reason why that business has failed, or that product has failed, because there wasn't a link between what customers were trying or advisors were trying to get done, the pain they had in that process, and we had the opportunity to solve that for them. We still have the opportunity, but for us, it's a conscious decision not to do that. We did something else in the same vein, which then didn't work. And that is sort of why, if you can start to link these things and you really understand your customer, that is when you've got a much better chance of making this work. All right. But now, where does this fit in the bigger picture? Now, this is called the business model canvas, which is fantastic. This is such a, if you're creating a new business, or you just want to sort of map out what you're doing in your current business, the business model canvas is actually where it starts, because you can have the greatest customer value proposition in the world. If the business model that sits behind that is an issue, if it doesn't work, if it doesn't make sense, if it is not solid, then that value proposition is going to mean nothing. This is like having the most beautiful plane in the world, everything that you can think about in that plane, but it doesn't have an engine. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to be a very nice sort of outside restaurant maybe, but it's not going anywhere. So, excuse me, here you can see slap bam in the middle of this business model canvas is the value proposition. So if you look at that part, that is, and even there you've got value proposition on that side, and then you've got the customer segments on the other side. But the value proposition, and that's why it says value propositions. And I said this to you earlier as well. You can have multiple value propositions, each one of them aimed at a very specific client or segment or whatever the case may be. And here's where you'll see this. And I'll just very quickly, I'll talk about this in another session. But if you have your value proposition and you have your customer segment, the way that you connect them is through your customer relationships. And we spoke about this the other day. And then also that your distribution channels. How do you get it to them? There are many different ways. And suddenly for us, digital has become a very important distribution channel. But those are how you generate income. And this is the revenue streams that you can earn from that. So this whole section here works together. But you don't have this business unless you've got a machine that's behind it. And here you got to understand what is your key resources that you've got available and that you need. Not only that you have, but what you need in order to deliver your value proposition, through your relationship and through the distribution channels to the right segments. What are those key resources? And what are the key activities that you need to be doing? Because if you're not focused on the right things, and I spoke about this before as well, if you're not focusing on the right key activities, then nothing's going to go anywhere. We spoke about this where the most brilliant plan in the world doesn't mean anything unless you take that first step. And then obviously you need key partners, and key partners could be employees. It's not to say that it's outsourced, but it could be outsourced people that you work with. It could be your team. It could be your suppliers. It could be product houses. It could be, I don't know, whoever. And then you very clearly need to understand your cost structure. So now I look at this. I didn't see this before, but now I'm looking at this and I see here at the bottom, I've got the cost structure and revenue streams, my financial management. Again, at the bottom of this whole thing. I didn't realize that. So that's awesome. But that's sort of the thing. And all we were focusing on is creating this value proposition today. And that whole tool that I showed you, the value proposition canvas from strategizer.com, is the perfect tool. It's available for free. You can go onto their website. There's lots of resources about how to use this and all that. There's loads of videos. If you go and search for value propositions, you'll see that a lot of people are using this to be able to do that. In fact, there's one of the insurance companies that launched this at the end of last year. I saw they even customized it to look like theirs. But they use the sort of same thing. Guys, you don't understand how powerful this is and how awesome these tools are. You really get like, wow, this is how my business works. Okay. Sometimes we think we know how it works, but we don't really know. Alrighty, so that is sort of the value proposition canvas. And what I wanted to share with you in terms of that, let me see if there are any comments. Good stuff. All right. So there's no other comments, guys. If you've got any questions, you're welcome to ask me. I will try and answer them for you. I hope that you got a lot of value from this today. And so some announcements, obviously important to make some announcements. I just want to see if I got approval to announce this one particular thing. I have not yet, but I do want to tell you this. So I've partnered with a very well-known company or business, and they are sponsoring a free CPD bundle kind of thing on very specific topics. So there's going to be a series. We were talking about 10 of them. We've already done the first one, so that should come out the week after next week. We're busy with the CPD approvals, so those will be available for free to do on Circulus online. So they will give you CPD. It's nice. It's between an hour and a half kind of programs. Well, some of them will maybe be half an hour, some of them, but they won't be longer than an hour and a half. So really happy to have them on board. So as soon as I can announce it properly, we will do that. But yeah, so more to follow on that. So that's awesome from them that they want to sponsor those things. I think it's amazing. So I'm really grateful to them. And yeah, so that's the one thing. And then the other thing is just Tuesday session that I'm going to have with Johan Vosloo and Martha Kukumur. Don't miss that one. And then I'll be back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. sharp here for you on Saturday morning. I know some people have started running and all sorts of interesting things. So yeah, but you're welcome to watch the recordings and all of that. Please share this. Please tell other people about it. And I hope you have a fantastic weekend. With that, let me just see quickly. Raymond says, wow, never saw it in this way. That's awesome, Raymond. Oh, I hope it's awesome, Raymond. It sounds good. So thank you very much for the feedback. But yeah, these are the kind of tools that's out there, guys. And, you know, it's like I learned everything about this tool, but then when I started using it again, just until you start using it and making it and applying it to your business, you know, that's when you're, oh, how does this work? How does that work? How do you do this? How do you do that? And it's just starting to do it. It really opens up a lot of things in your mind as far as that is concerned. Alrighty, from me, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a lovely Friday, and I will see you tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Stay safe, keep well, and we'll chat tomorrow then. Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye-bye.